What's up, Knicks fans? We are back again for another season with our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. And of course, that means we're talking about FANCASH. Now, most sports books, their rewards are just fluff, but FANCASH is the ultimate sports currency. You see, when you bet with FANATICS Sportsbook, you get up to 10% FANCASH back on your wagers, win or lose. And did I mention that they're giving away millions in FANCASH this year, and you can use that FANCASH on anything in the FANATICS universe? Go check it out for yourself and download the app today. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. It is the first of many. How many? I don't know. I didn't sit here and do the math ahead of time. I probably should have. Of our weekly recaps that I have been doing now for, God, is it 6 years of these? 7?
Might be 7.
Hold on. So Jeremy Cohen. Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
Hello, John. Jet lagged, but good. How are you?
You know what? I'm recovering. I had a moment earlier today where I'm like, I'm back. I'm all the way back. Mm-hmm. And then I was in the car going to pick up my daughter from daycare, and I'm like, we're so not back. I like, you know, when you're like getting over being sick and you feel you're close, and then you have the wave of like, no, you son of a bitch, you thought you were getting away that easy. You're not. That's what came over me.
Sorry to hear that.
And listen, I'm on the other side. That's all that matters. The first season we started doing these was Mitch's rookie year, right? That's
sounds about right. Yeah, 2019 season.
And Mitchell Robinson, assuming he plays a basketball game this year, will be in his.
It's your prediction that's most in peril, not mine.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. He'll be in his 8th year. This is year 8. That's wild.
Time flies.
What is happening? Anyway, how you doing, bud?
I'm pretty distraught, to be honest. Look, I was expecting 82-0. All right. I just was. And as I sat there yesterday in the Kaseya Center, because I happened to be in Miami the weekend that the Knicks are in town, hearing all of these Knicks fans. What's that?
I had no idea.
Yeah. I was at the game yesterday.
Oh, shit.
I flew back this morning.
This right now.
Yeah. So first of all, for anyone who hasn't been to the Kaseya Center, it feels like a 1980s Taco Bell that also feels like a club. Like there's a red curtain that you go through to get to your seats. It's a velvet curtain. It's kind of fun. But there are a lot of Knicks fans, which is great. A lot of orange and blue out there. But I was really hoping not only for a 3-0 start, first time since the 2012-13 season. I was just under the belief they were never going to lose a game because they're not allowed. They're not allowed to lose. They can't lose.
How could they? How dare they?
Exactly. So, but it was a good experience. It was fun outside of the result. But yeah, otherwise everything's good. How about you?
I still envy your ability to do that. When I ask you when you talk about a game, not when you just talk about a game, but your general outlook on sporting events is just it is the thing that is most different about us, because I could have the best night in the world, and if they lose the game, the night has been ruined. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter if I won't go in. It doesn't matter. If they lose, they lose, and it is thus a terrible night. You can have a great time. And it's like, unfortunately, they weren't able to bring home the game, but that's fine because I had a great night nonetheless.
I had some great nachos. Got to go to my first NBA regular season game with my girlfriend, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, well, okay.
So, exactly. So it was the result didn't matter. I had already won. It didn't. I wish the Knicks had done that too, but that just was the way it went.
The result didn't matter. I had already won. You should put that on something and give it to your girlfriend as a gift to, And then if you eventually get married, you could look back many years later and be like, remember when this was the case? And you both have a good hearty laugh.
She'll watch it and appreciate it. I know.
There you go. So that's really cool. That you got to go and see a bunch of Knicks fans rooting for their basketball team, and they're one of many homes away from home. We should say at the top that we did have a text interaction about the week. This is the only thing we've said to each other about the Knicks actually not even since the season started, since right before the season started, when you were like, hey, we should probably get our predictions down. And I won't reveal what the predictions are, but you were more optimistic than me about the week. I'll just say that.
I was.
Yeah.
So I was. You had first dibs because you won last year.
I did
but
win.
It's a new season. So we'll see what happens.
Well, we're off to a certain foot that I know that foot very well because I'm familiar to me. We'll get back to that later. So let me before we get into the Knicks and all the stuff that we have to, because there's obviously a lot to talk about already. Quick shout out. So for anybody who may have missed me tweeting about this or speaking about this on post games or anything, we have an app that allows us here at Knicks Film School to chat with Knicks fans all over the world, wherever you are, whether you watch on YouTube, whether you're a newsletter subscriber, whether you've never consumed Knicks Film School content in your life, you could chat with your boys from Knicks Film School as well as other Knicks fans all over the place. All you got to do is go to chatnicks.com and download the app. The reason I'm giving it a special shout out at the top of the show is we are giving away 2 tickets to the November 30th game against the Is it November? Yeah, it's a Sunday game against the Toronto Raptors. So you go see your old buddies RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, assuming that they're not traded, at the Garden on Sunday, November 30th. It's a 6 p.m. start. All you have to do to be eligible to win the 2 tickets for that game, pretty good seats as I understand it, is download the app and come on in and interact on there in some way, shape, or form. So again, ticket giveaway, we'll announce when we're giving away the tickets. It'll be obviously sometime closer to that day of the game. But in the meantime, go ahead, download the chat app at chatnicks.com, and I will be on there for one of the next 2 games, definitely. Maybe both. I got to see which one we're doing a playback for, because when we're doing a playback, I tend not to be chatting as much. But I'm on there chatting it up for most of the games and in between as well. Okay, so that's out of the way. I will open by just asking you, because I haven't talked to you about this. How you feeling about the team after 3 games?
Feeling good. Truly. I always hate and love this time of the year because this is the time where sample sizes are so small that it's hard to read into them, but you can take what you enjoy and hope that and cling to that. There's not really anything that is a major red flag at this very moment, but at the same time, you can look at the green flags and be like, those are green as hell. Hell probably wouldn't be green. Hell would probably be red. So either way, they're incredibly green. And it's nice to just enjoy basketball. Despite the Knicks' success last year, I had trouble enjoying their season. I just did. From a viewer and spectator perspective, it wasn't as much fun as I would have liked it to have been. It felt like more work than it did enjoyment. And it's a fresh start and things feel crisper. I feel as though I'm starting to get that joy back. I am watching the Knicks and it's like I'm looking forward to the games without a different level of stress. The expectations are higher, and yet the stress level for me is not at a point where the games are difficult in any way to watch, because I'm comfortable with anything goes. I would love for the Knicks to have been 3-0 this week. I'll take 2-1. A lot of it is old habits dying hard, but they're doing new things. There's a consistency, and there are new players. There are people who are getting acclimated, and there's some who are already hitting the ground running. And I feel confident in the direction overall, as long as they maintain health. And that's something that they've, of course, struggled with one of their starters already missing the first 3 games of the year. So even with that said, I've just been enjoying watching Knicks basketball once again. And it's a great feeling. And last thing I'll say before I turn it over to you is we don't know how long windows last. And I've made it a point this year to enjoy Knicks basketball as much as I can, because I don't want to look back when this cycle of really good Knicks basketball is over and you're like, man, I wish I'd spent more time enjoying it. I'm enjoying it now. I'm going to stay true to my word.
I think that's great. Let me try to hit on a few of those, because so like you, last season was not terribly enjoyable for me. I think that was partially because of the team and what they were and were not able to do, and also partially because I was in the catbird seat, fielding a lot of the frustrations. And no, it didn't help that I kind of was like one of the last staunch defenders of the previous head coach, who was kind of getting a lot of the frustration aimed at him. So no, last season was not a particularly enjoyable season for me either. So I think by definition, this season was going to be more fun, just because all of the stuff that made last season like not fun was kind of a thing of the past. That being said, a big part of the reason why last season was also not fun for me was because I rarely watched them, at least after the calendar flipped to 2025, and felt like I was watching a team that was playing up to its capabilities. And then we got lucky. Well, I don't say we got lucky. We got a couple of nice playoff moments, a couple of nice playoff quarters, maybe, dare I say, even an entire game or two, or nearly an entire game or two, where, the team did feel like it finally reached that level. And then this year, again, we're talking about 3 games, but I feel like the team is going out there, and have they always executed to the degree that we would have liked them to execute at this point in the season? No. And for evidence of that, look no further than the fact that I just looked it up on Cleaning the Glass now. They're currently second to last in the league in effective field goal percentage. The only team who is lower in terms of effective field goal percentage than the Knicks is the Houston Rockets, who are perhaps not coincidentally 0-2. They've not won a game yet. And yeah, the Knicks are 29th. So the fact that we're both sitting here, and I think our reputations are pretty solid at this point. We don't try to blow smoke up anyone's ass. If we're not happy about something, we'll say people that we're not happy about something. If we're not enjoying something, we'll tell people we're not enjoying something. I've genuinely liked watching this team play, even though they are hitting shots at a lower rate than literally almost every other team in the league, save but one. That has to be, and I don't feel like I'm being a homer, or like I'm just like drinking the Mike Brown Kool-Aid and I'm seeing what I want to see. I feel like I hate to always go back to this word. The process is good. It looks good. It looks like how basketball is supposed to look. And I think that for me, even more than the 2-1 that really was kind of close to being 3-0. I think that's the most encouraging part.
Totally agree. And even with the 29th in effective field goal percentage, they're still 11th in location effective field goal percentage. So For those who are confused, what that would be is, as Cleaning the Glass would say, if this team shot the league average field goal percentage from each location, what would their effective field goal percentage be? So even the Cleaning the Glass numbers indicate that this team, despite being next to last in terms of efficiency from the effective field goal percentage standpoint, should be 11th. 3 games, that's it. But through those 3 games as well, we're seeing improvements from before. I mean, what I wanted to see, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face: drives, corner threes, looks all around. The Knicks have
corner
never
threes, you say?
Yes, exactly. They're first in the NBA through 3 games in frequency in the corner. They're just not hitting them quite as high at that mark, but we know that they have a lot of good players who can hit from the corners. Jalen Brunson finds guys in the corners. Tyler Kolek can do a nice job of that as well. He was second in the NBA last year in finding guys for corner 3 assists, but that was only with 250 minutes or more played. Obviously, you get screened out pretty easily when you have more than what I believe Kolek had, which was 296. But they're driving more. There are more drives per game. The pace is higher right now. It's at 101. The highest pace that the Knicks had under Tibbs was 98. So again, still time for things to change. The high offensive rebounding number is hilarious considering Mitchell Robinson is not there.
The best offensive rebounder in the sport is not
right.
minute.
Exactly. What I wonder about as well is I'd be very curious what the numbers are behind the launch angles leading to the rebounds, because a team like Boston would take a lot of threes, but they struggle to get the ball back. But the Knicks have done a really nice job still in the offensive glass, even without Mitch. And I feel like I'd need to take a closer look over the next few games as well. But analyzing, hey, how exactly are those offensive rebounds coming? Because they don't play that big. I mean, Huck Porty hasn't seen a ton of time. They've gone small. Cat still has done a nice job on the boards, OG as well, but how many of these have been getting not your own rebounds per se, but it felt like, especially yesterday, a ton of them were just threes that got launched and they were shot from so far that naturally they ricocheted back in a direction where a Nick was standing. So with that in mind and with the drives, it's just, to your point, it's the process. The process feels better. We're just not seeing the development through 3 games. And the last thing I'll end on this note was DJ Zulo had a tweet about the Knicks taking 36 catch and shoot field goals per game, which is second in the NBA. And they're shooting 33% on those shots, which would be 24th. That's from Pivot Fade. So that is perfectly in alignment with the fact that the Knicks they should be an efficient team based on how they are shooting, but the results are not meeting the process.
So a few things. I want to get to defense because I think the defense is encouraging for different reasons. I mean, we should note that since from when Thibodeau took over, the Knicks have been one of the best most frequent 3-point corner teams in the league. They were 28th in the league in three-point frequency. Not once, not twice, but 3 consecutive seasons they ranked 28th, which is actually funny. In the 3 years before Tibbs took over, and then the 5 years under Tibbs, they were 7th, 15th, 4th, and then last year they were 11th. The thing is, whereas the previous 3 years, the number of corner threes in terms of frequency stayed stagnant. Again, this is all per Cleaning the Glass, 10.6, 10.9, 10.8. They're at 15.5. So it's that's another level. And I think when Mike Brown talks about spray threes, I think his definition is at least 1 foot in the paint on the drive, and then you obviously kick out for a 3. It doesn't have to be a corner look, but it's pretty strongly implied that the best spray 3 is a corner spray 3. And so they're getting a ton of these, and that's the only hitting right now. They're 12th in the league in conversion rate and accuracy of corner threes. They're hitting them at 39%. It's literally everywhere else from the field that they can't hit anything, which is what gets into, I think, if there is a frustration after 3 games, it I think came after this Miami game. And again, I'll ask you how you felt. have they gone too far? Are they hunting threes too much? And look, there's a lot of good stuff already out there on the internet today about looking at the quality of their shots, how many are forced threes, how many are not forced threes. I tried to go back and watch all of the threes before this episode. I got through just the first half's worth of threes. From what I saw, OG forced a few, Clarkson forced a couple. Other than that, like, these are all shots that I like them taking, and generally speaking, I like the looks that they're getting, even the ones that are above the break, even the ones that are not, again, spray threes where someone drives and kicks out. So, like, I don't have an issue with it. I just think you trust that, like, they are not going to continue to hit 30% of non-corner threes, which is what they're currently hitting, you know?
Yeah, I would add Cat at least a couple times yesterday. It felt as though, was that really the best shot? I love that he's shooting it. We want that, but
Could we stay on that? Could we stay on this for a sec?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because you're right. He exists in that middle ground where you look at the shot and you're like, okay, I didn't love the feeling of that shot when that left his hands. And yet I'm the same guy who has said, like a freaking robot, Cat, take all the threes. Take as many threes as you want. If you are even remotely open, take the three. I wanted him to take 8 threes a game, 10 threes a game, 12 threes a game. And yet, as I was watching the game last night, there were a couple where I'm like, and I had to ask myself, like, okay, someone's the asshole here. Either it's you or it's you. And so one way or another, it's meaning me, yes. Like Jonathan Macri. So I didn't really know what to do about that because I like you. It's like you want him to take the threes, but I hate to keep going back to this because I've said it a few times. Like, is he comfortable taking them? Because if he's not comfortable, then he shouldn't be taking them. Nobody should be taking shots they're not comfortable taking.
It's not quite a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because there is that third type of world that we're talking about, which is great. You're taking them, but is that really it? But it's all part of the learning process there as well. And it's just, it's funny how, because it feels like we're going to spend more time on the Heat game because that's just naturally we'll fixate on the losses a little bit more than we'll focus on the wins, which I think there were 2 other games and they were wins as well. And the process seemed good there. It took a little bit of time to get the party started, and then things got a lot better for them, especially in that Celtics game when they had them very much at arm's length with a 20-point lead or so. So it was unfortunate to not also see Juice McBride in Miami for that game. I don't think that it is a coincidence here that the Knicks are undefeated in games that he plays and have not won in games that he hasn't. Of course, once again, a sample size, I know, right? A sample size of 3. And that's not going to hold up because
what analytics site did you go to find out?
My brain, which I wouldn't recommend. But in that sense, it's just like, okay, well, it would have been nice to have him there because of the fact that of what his contributions are and the bench just kicking New York's ass across the board was discerning. And I didn't feel like the game slipped away in the second. I felt like it really was the third quarter when the wheels fell off. But it was during that point in the second quarter where it was just it was Kolek, Clarkson, Yabusele, Cat. I think Shamet might have been the other one. Hart.
Well, so the problem was Cat went out with his 4th foul. So I'll look it up while you're talking. For
the second quarter, because Kolek and Cat, there was one point where they had a miscommunication. Cat turned the ball over. At least it looked like that from my seat, where it was a miscommunication. And then the Heat scored in transition, and then Mike Brown called a timeout. And I was looking at that. Once that happened, I was very curious what the reaction of the bench was. Mike Brown spent a little bit of time talking to Cat, and then Bridges came over and talked to Cat. But then Brown spoke with Kolek for what felt like a longer period of time. It's a learning opportunity for him too, as well. It's his second year, but if it's at the point where someone might mistaken him for a rookie, then he clearly didn't get enough playing time last year in that context. So this isn't his rookie year, but there's a lot of workaround. There was even the turnover in the second half where it's just like, you're not on the same page. That's an NBA play that I wish could be cleaned up, but it happens even to NBA veterans.
It might as well be his rookie year. Like, yeah, he learned a lot, I'm sure, from the bench. He did get some time. Like when Brunson was out in March, he got some time. But he did not get to learn and make mistakes on the job last year. And we don't need to discuss why that was. We all know why that was. And, and that means these are like, it is in a way his rookie year. So like, yeah, like the stuff that we're seeing right now, I'm not saying that excuses it. Part of the reason they drafted him was because he was an older player and like you expect him to come in and contribute right away. But I certainly have a little bit more sympathy than I might otherwise would. I'm looking at the lineup that was in at the end of the third. So it was Kolek, Gershon, Bridges, Clarkson, and who am I missing? And I think Hart. Yeah, and Hart. So not only small, but they didn't really have a true creator, so to speak, out there. It was a little annoying.
The one thing with that, I didn't like that lineup when it came in, and I think common sense for those watching might have been like, what exactly are we doing here? But you play with the cards you're dealt from the game with the players who are not with the team or unable to play or foul trouble, whatever it may be. But they're trying it. And I can't be upset at them trying it. It didn't work. I would have preferred they tried it at a less pivotal time. But
what's the alternative?
Exactly. It's like, okay, when is the perfect time to do this? Because it's going to be when they're up by a lot or down by a lot. I mean, so now how many games are we going to be in that position where you've got the players you want, where you can try things? Because if McBride had been playing, if Robinson had been playing, then fewer opportunities to figure out what we can do. If we spent so much of last year as a fan base talking about the lack of creativity, the inability to use the regular season as a stress test for the playoffs, and then we see something that is a stress test, and we know it's stressing us, so maybe that's not the best thing, but we have the data. That's the whole point. Prepare yourself as much as you can so that you can win 16 games in the spring. And that, to me, felt like that breath of fresh air, which is, this isn't working. We got to change something up. And it was from the outside perspective, because I watch these games, obviously, and my girlfriend does not. And she's a lot harsher on them because that's just the way it is, where it's like, Shamet, what's he doing? Nothing. Get him out of there. Clarkson, go. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I get it. Absolutely.
Shamet.
But like there is the process of at least seeing what these things and how these players can work together. Busele, get him out of there. Yeah, not great, but they're working together, and we're seeing what can be done from that point. And she's not wrong, but it was a refreshing thing for me, at least, to be like, okay, great. We're able to see something different that we've been clamoring for.
It is going to be interesting if and when this team gets fully healthy. Like how Mike Brown is going to handle some of these things, and I guess we'll cross those bridges when we come to it. But like even something as simple as when Deuce comes back, he would have been in there to close the third at the very least. But like, look, Benji said it on the post game, and I completely agree with him. What was the alternative? The alternative was to stick Brunson back in, which is what Tibbs would have done. Like if Cat got his fourth foul, like, okay, Brunson, you come back in. Sorry, you got 30 seconds of rest. Well, that's too bad, And the whole reason we are where we are right now is because that way of doing things, like, it's not the way we want to do things anymore for a variety of reasons. So onwards and upwards. Before we give out our first game ball detention of the year, quickly on the defense, they are the 5th ranked defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good considering the guy who would at least have an argument for being their best defensive player has not played a minute yet. I think the best thing I could say about the defense is that it has not stood out to me, because usually when defense stands out to you, it stands out to you for the wrong reasons. And I feel like, obviously 2025, you could go find 5 to 10 very, like, not very bad, but like poor defensive possessions or defensive possessions that appear to be poor in pretty much any game, maybe that doesn't involve Oklahoma City. But like by and large, it feels like they are playing, like they know what they're supposed to do out there defensively, and they're executing it to, like, I would say pretty good. Like even against Miami, I know people were like, they didn't play any defense against Miami. Miami got out and ran and got 31 transition points. So like that was the big sin there. I didn't have a huge issue with their defense against Miami. It wasn't great, but I also didn't have a big problem.
It wasn't great seeing someone like Yabusele like just get cooked. But
I'm saving him, Jeremy. He's coming up.
I believe me, I know he is. The other thing too is you can also tip your cap to the Heat, which sucks because it's the Miami Heat. And I had to walk out of there with my Brunson jersey on, hearing Heat fans say, "Let's go Heat," which was a very bizarre thing because I didn't know that Heat fans knew that there was a fourth quarter of basketball, but they did. And they were very loud when they left. So it must have been a new thing for them, but they got the win. So that was good for them. But the Norman Powell just went off. He was fantastic, especially in that first quarter. And the all-star argument for him, like it was last year, who knows if it's going to be the case. He's an older player, but he's tearing it up. And that helped put Miami on the right track in that first quarter when he was just that electric, and they needed a stabilizing force. He was able to do that. Jaquez played really well off the bench. It was another one of those vital pieces. So
Jovic,
Miami
had a good game.
Yep, he did too. So, it sucks when you see a Pell Larson hit pivotal shots, but it's just going to be the case. The Knicks didn't provide on their end, and they couldn't keep up. But even still, on a Sunday night after a team that was in Miami on a Saturday night, and it's tempting city. I can tell you, there's a lot of nightlife there, obviously, without even having to go there. People know that that's what Miami can be. But even if the Knicks are locked in, though. Exactly, yeah. But that's the thing. They can. It was just disappointing, of course, but it felt like even with all that we've said, they still held pretty firm. And it was close. It was a 5-point game with very little time. And then, of course, what was it, Wiggins or Jovic who hit the three?
It was Wiggins, which is what I was thinking about it when you were talking about Pelt Larson. Mm-hmm. I was, it's unfortunate to see him hit a three. For any complaints that you could say about the game, if Wiggins doesn't hit that three, I think there's a really good chance the Knicks pull out that game.
If Wiggins doesn't hit a three, if Brunson gets the call when he hit that layup, and then he goes to the line to make it a 4-point game potential, it doesn't matter. They lost the game. But it's even with all of those things, and yet it felt within reach. And if we're going to have a close loss, at least, it's still a loss, but at least you feel like you've learned something and you were able to do this. And they were missing Tyler Hero. They're missing a couple other players. I was very curious. I've been very busy this week, so I haven't been online, but I was surprised not to see a point guard on the Heat that was there. I can't remember what his name is. I bet if I looked it up, I'd figure it out. But in the meantime, it was just I was
he was disposed. He was what's the right word I'm looking for? Indisposed?
He's indisposed?
Sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the fact that it would have been nice for the Knicks to have capitalized on that, but they didn't. And they were down a couple men on the defensive side. And I thought, to your point, just to bring it home, it wasn't as bad as I would have expected, which is comforting. Not great, but comforting.
Yeah. Given how well they shot or did not shoot. It probably should have been worse. We got a super chat from Kevin Danishevsky. JC, I think that means you. Time to buy a low on IQ, Emmanuel Quickly. Seriously, good to see you. I don't know what that trade would be. As long as we're talking trades, like Norm Powell, like I've watched a couple Hornets games. Colin Sexton, like at some point this year, I want to have a conversation about the price tags of these quote unquote offense only, like not really like that's what they bring to the table, like undersized ish, guards. It's gone too far. Like these guys, like when you're a scoring machine like Norm Powell, you should not be able to be had for a song, which is what the fucking Heat got him for. And it's just very frustrating. Dirty Dancer says we probably haven't talked enough about how Mikal has been. Perfect transition to our first of the year. If I can find the banner, I'm not going to sit here and look for the banner. Well, just take my word for it. It's Game Ball, our first Game Ball of the season, given out to a player who has achieved something notable, so far in the week. So we give this out every week. Obviously, right now we are giving it out just for these 3 games. And the first pick goes to none other than Jeremy Cohen. So, Jeremy, the floor is yours. Who are you giving your Game Ball to?
So, yeah, John had the opportunity to get his stat line first. He picked 1 and 2. I picked.
I was going to save that for
1.
later.
But
sure,
if I have the Game Ball, then it's implied that I won.
Yes, but we didn't know. Nobody knew how you won yet.
Okay, well,
maybe I picked 3-0 and you picked 2-1.
That's true. But you didn't, because you would not be that optimistic. So I think the people realized pretty quickly they could put it together. My Game Ball is going to go to Jalen Brunson, Eastern Conference nominated for Eastern Conference Player of the Week this week. A tremendous effort. The tone completely changes when he's in the game, and it was felt so much yesterday in Miami, where I thought Tyler Kolek had a nice couple of games, but Brunson, once he checked in, it was like, all right, time to go to work. And boy, did he. And he just felt electric. I feel like I can never run out of adjectives that are good on Jalen Brunson. I hope that remains the case, but phenomenal, brilliant, other deserving players, of course, but I will start my year giving it to him for the Game Ball.
Just looking up here, when's the last time a Knick has made 3 consecutive all NBA teams? And man, you have to go back to Ewing. I don't actually even, it was in the early 90s. You have to go back to Ewing in the early 90s. So it's been over 30 years since a Knick has made 3 consecutive all NBA teams. And if he stays healthy, I just don't think there's any universe where Brunson isn't going to make it 3 in a row. So pretty cool. And yes, I will take Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges has had his start to his year has kind of gone quietly under the radar, which I'm not going to be like, oh, that's a shame. We're not talking about it. No, because I'm the one doing most of the talking, and I'm not. So who am I yelling at? I'm yelling at me. I think when Mikal Bridges is going right, it's kind of like what I said about defense before. You don't notice him because he just does everything that you need him to do. He doesn't maybe do any of it in spectacular fashion, but this is what he did for years in Phoenix. He was just one of the steadiest, most consistent role players in the league. And through 3 games for the Knicks, he has been as steady as she comes, absolutely checking all the boxes they need him to check. And if this, and I don't want to go back over like the past, but if this was the version of Mikal Bridges that we got throughout the majority of last year, we would have never had any conversations about any draft picks and whether there was an overpay or all of that sort of stuff. Because this is exactly the guy they traded for, and as long as he keeps playing like this, I think they're fine.
Reliable, silky smooth. We're seeing on the defensive end. Feels like when he's feeling good on defense, he feels good on offense. When he feels involved on offense, it carries over defensively. It feels like that two-way force that just wasn't had last year. And if Mike Brown's the one to unlock that and really get Bridges back to feeling like the old version of himself, you're talking about someone who could be competing for an all-star appearance. It's only 3 games, but it's that type of comfortability where it doesn't feel like, oh, I need to worry about Mikal Bridges. I know I don't necessarily have to worry about him missing games because he's not missed games, but it's you're on the court now, you're going to add positive contributions consistently. And so far, it has felt that way where he has not drawn ire and he has not been questioned. at least from my vantage point. So a great start of the year for him.
He's been awesome. He's I closed the window, but he's in like the 90 something percentile for efficiency for wings. He's been great. Okay. Detention, which we give out every week, again, for those who are new to the show, to a player who has, not held up their end of the bargain and needs to sit and think about what they've done for a while in a room, maybe a room with no windows, maybe a small window in the door. I don't know how they do. Do they do? No, there's probably no such thing as detention anymore.
In school?
In schools.
You've been in schools.
My school never handed out a detention. I thought that for 10 years.
I don't think my high school had detention. Maybe they did.
I mean, we've been over this. We had detention. We called it jug.
Yeah, I can't recall detention really being a thing.
I don't know. In any case, we still give it out here.
Yes, we do.
Knicks Film School Weekly Recap. I get first pick for this one, and you better believe I'm giving it to my guy Gershon Yabusele. Man, some things I want to say. I'm not going to say any of them. You're a professional athlete, and you got paid $10+ million this summer. I know you gave back, or you gave up like what, a couple $100,000 or $100,000, something like that, to help Knicks duck the make sure they could do what they needed to do under the second apron. Please start earning your paycheck, because right now what you're going out there and doing is not it's just not good enough. Like here's what I feel a little bad, because I don't want him to be like the Alfred Payton of this year, where it's like if they lose a game, it's like, oh, what did Gershon do, tonight? Like, he's not the reason they lost the Heat game, but it is standing out in a way that is kind of like not great, that how his level of preparedness is not up to where everybody else is right now. So he will get my detention for the week.
He would have been my number one pick. Maybe it's the adapting portion to the team. Maybe it's that he's played a lot. He looked larger in person than I was anticipating. I just did.
I mean, I don't know. I got a text from somebody who was at one of the games at MSG that said the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying that offensively. I'm just saying you don't really know 283 for a 6'8" athlete, and then you see that player and I don't know. It felt slow-footed, which is a problem. Of course, I don't want to blame it on that though, because he's been larger and he's still been able to be that player. I mean, last year he was great for Philadelphia.
Yeah, but there are degrees.
Of course, different responsibilities. Absolutely. Then Philadelphia was a bad team for a lot of the season. So you need good contributions from good talent. It was a bad week for him. Plenty of weeks to go. Hopefully he settles in. My pick will be Jordan Clarkson. Despite the fact that he was awarded the hard hat, the vest, and the Timbs in game 2, which is a great tradition. I'm really happy the Knicks are doing that, because it just seems fun. And I'm glad the locker room is a little less stoic than it seems from before. But the offensive contributions, it just feels like, okay, the offense is not going to flow through you. The biggest concern that I will have with Jordan Clarkson this season is probably going to be, okay, so if you are the Knicks and you are comfortable with 48 minutes of Jalen Brunson and Tyler Kolek, and you know their limitations defensively, what does that mean for Jordan Clarkson? Whether it's fair to say this is a Jordan Clarkson problem when the limitations of the defensive players in Brunson and Kolek are their own as well. But Clarkson, given his age and given his sometimes not great off-ball shooting, they can go hand in hand, where it's like, are you just creating microwave scoring opportunities around players where defensively you needed to work? But game 2, we saw that it was workable. So I see the vision for him. I just am concerned about how it all comes together, because we know he can find players in the corners. That's never been an issue for him. That's actually been quite a strength. But who are you playing him with? What responsibilities will he have? How are you getting the best out of him, considering the rest of the roster while still having scoring on the bench? So not a strong week from him, but like with Yabusele, plenty of weeks to do a better job in the future.
I don't think there's any two ways about it. Jordan Clarkson is a guy whose offense needs to pop for him to justify his place on the court, which again gets back to the discussion we were just having. I brought up a minute ago about guys like Norm Powell and Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton is actually a good defensive player, but like those guys are really good offensive player. They're offensive players. They don't have the inconsistency that Clarkson has displayed, at least so far this year. And, depending on how much you kind of care about what he has done in Utah the last few years, which hasn't been good. But I still have high hopes for Clarkson. I think he'll be okay. All right, a couple more super chats before we get to predictions. Jason M., my guy, like Mike Brown, that his goal is to win in May, not October, 100%. I don't think no one should be disagreeing with that. It's about the long-term vision. And then Riyad Raheem, Deuce is Asian, saving this film for extension talks. I really am fascinated. We're not there yet, but when we get closer to December 31st, which is when Deuce is eligible to sign an extension, we'll have a longer conversation about whether or not the most that the Knicks could give him, which is the average NBA salary with 8% raises, is that something that Deuce should be jumping on? Is that something that the Knicks should be jumping on? Like where are the parties going to be? And I'm sure it'll be impacted to some degree by how he plays over the next couple months. All right. Predictions, where me and Jeremy predict what is going to happen in the week ahead. As Jeremy has alluded to, I had first pick. I want it to be noted for the record that I made my pick amidst the injury uncertainty of Wednesday afternoon, where it did not look like Cat was going to play. I was hearing things about OG. There was a lot of stuff in the air, and there was a lot of uncertainty. And I said, I'm going to take 1 and 2, because if I take 1 and 2 and they beat it, I'll be happy. And you know what? Sitting here right now, Jeremy, I'm thrilled. They went 2 and 1. I didn't win, but that's fine. Who cares? So you get first pick. We should also say who they're playing this week, which I'm going to, of course, pull up right now. And this week the Knicks are playing. They're at Milwaukee, at Chicago, and then we have to pick through Monday, right? Because they're playing Sunday and Monday. And then they play Chicago and Washington at home. Both of those games are at home, but they are back-to-back.
The big question, how many games will Deuce McBride be playing?
I mean,
that's the analytics that we talked about, right?
That is.
Foolproof. I'm going to go with, oh, man. I hadn't considered the Monday angle, which is true. We do need to take that into consideration. One of those games we should add is a play-in game, is it not?
The Halloween game at Chicago is the NBA Cup game. Which
the thing is, I feel like the Knicks always find a way to lose to the Bulls when they shouldn't. It just feels like that every year. But
nice.
even with
yourself into.
But even with Giannis and Milwaukee, I'm going to go with. I'm going to be bold and go with 3 and 1. I don't know if that's really that bold, actually. I mean, considering the Knicks would be favorites in probably 3 of those games. So, I'm going to go 3 and 1 and just hope for the best. But listen, John, that opens the door for you for 4 and 0. I'm just saying. It's right there.
It would have been a tough pick between 2 and 2 and 3 and 1 for me. I don't have to say which one of those I would have picked. I will just say what I will be picking now that you've taken 3 and 1. I will take 2 and 2. I hope I'm wrong.
I do too.
So. Look at it this way. I don't think there's any way they lose both games to Chicago, and I don't think they're losing to Washington. So, right off the bat, I definitely don't they should go at least 2 and 2.
I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
The Galaxy brand move is that they lose to the Wizards and the Wizards wind up at the 9th pick, which goes to the Knicks because it's top 8 protected. But
listen,
it's not.
I am telling. I'm telling everybody out there this right now. Do not get your emotions wrapped up in this fucking Wizards pick. It is not going to end well for you. I'm just this organization is not going to give up that pick.
They're not.
It's not going to happen.
Which is fine, because that means that assuming you don't trade it, you have a top 8 second-round pick. That's great.
It's a good pick. It's probably going to be the first pick in the second round.
I don't know. The Nets looked pretty bad. We'll see.
What are you talking about? The Nets have come back from not one, but 2 25-point deficits.
Absolutely, but they've still lost those games. I get it. That
by design, but
yes,
to your point, by design, yes.
40 points and 0 assists is a hilarious stat line. But that's the Cam Thomas experience. And then there are going to be other teams, Celtics and Pacers.
The Jazz, you know who has the best net rating in the NBA right now? The Jazz.
The Jazz? Well, that's what happens when you destroy the Clippers like they did. So there are going to be other teams that are going to be there, which is why if you are a Knicks fan and you're thinking about, the Wizards pick, and I hope they win games and this and that, maybe if they win enough games where they're like 6th or 7th worst, maybe 7th or 8th worst, and then a couple teams jumping in the standings. But my vantage point, I'm rooting for them to lose every game and have the worst record in the NBA, so that way the second round pick is 31st overall. But to each their own.
We'll see what happens. Okay, this was great, Jeremy. It's good to get back on the horse, on the wagon, whatever moving vehicle we're on. Anything before we get out of here?
It's good to have basketball back. And it wouldn't be a Knicks season without a classic fake Knicks comeback. So we got to experience that. Welcome to our reality, Mike Brown. It's a tale as old as time, but I'm glad you got to experience it early enough in the season.
Get it out of the way.
Exactly.
All right. This was great. Thanks to everybody who watched live. If you are watching or watching afterwards, listen afterwards, any of those sorts of things, as my voice is finally starting to go, don't forget, support the show. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You could rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. You could turn on your alerts on YouTube. So when we're going live a lot these days, so you could be notified every time we do. Bonus content, Patreon, Knicks Film School newsletter on Substack. And then, of course, follow us on social media at Knicks Film School. It's SKOOL. That is it. Jeremy and I, I'm not sure when we're going to be back because next week is this kooky schedule where they play Sunday and Monday. We'll be back at some point in the relatively near future. In the meantime, everybody take care. Thank you for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. Everybody enjoy your week and peace out.
Must be 21 or over? Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.